There he is. Dude, what is going on, guys? My name is Bill Matthews from the 𝗙𝗹𝗹𝗶 YouTube channel, and in today's video I'm going to be breaking down my favorite summertime fishing lures. So if you guys want to learn more about jig fishing, then this is the video for you. Stick around, stay tuned. We're going to catch some fish, and I'm going to show you exactly how I fish this jig and where I like to throw it in the summertime. So let's just jump right into it, guys. So before we get into the fishing and start catching some bass, I want to break down the rod, the reel, the line, and also the bait that we're throwing, since a lot of you guys are here to learn first and foremost. First things first, the rod that I'm throwing is a 7-foot medium heavy action rod. You want to make sure that you have a little bit of backbone so you can make sure that you get those really solid hook sets, but you also need a little bit of sensitivity, so that's where that medium heavy comes into play. I also throw a 7'3" medium heavy a lot too when I'm fishing offshore like we are going to be doing today, but 7-foot to 7'3" medium heavy action rod, that's going to be your wheelhouse for offshore jig fishing. The reel that you're throwing doesn't matter too much, but I like throwing anywhere between like a 7 and 8 1-to-1 gear ratio reel. You just want to make sure that you're able to pick up that line pretty quick, and the line, I like throwing 15 to 17 pound tests when I'm throwing these jigs offshore. And last but not least, the bait that we're throwing today is a little hard hat football jig right here, paired up with that Biospawn Exopod trailer. So that's pretty much the setup that we're throwing today, and we're gonna get right into the fishing. So the first spot that we're on right here, it's a little offshore grass bed. We're sitting in about 17 to 18 foot of water, casting in anywhere between 12 and 15, but I'm going to break that down a little bit more. I know that was a ton of information just coming at you really quick, but throughout the video, I'm going to kind of do a lot of little small tips and tricks. So stick around, stay tuned. We're going to try to start catching some for you guys. Here we go. First one of the day. Literally just slowly dragging that jig right off that brake line. She crushed it. That's a very small bass though. Not exactly what we're after right here. Usually the jig is going to put some bigger bass in the boat for you, but for the first bite of the day, we are not going to complain. Nice little bass right there going back in the lake, and like I said, we're going to kind of break down exactly what we're doing throughout this video. So that first fish right there, like I said, we are kind of sitting right off the ledge right now. We're casting up on top of it and dragging that jig slowly down the bottom. And with the football jig, when you're fishing it offshore, you don't want to give it too much action. You're going to kind of want to let that bait just sit there, and that's when those fish are really going to key in on that thing. The bait down there is pretty much just imitating a crawfish, and they really do not move too fast. So all we're doing is we're casting it out just like that, and we're slowly lifting the rod tip up, making sure that that jig maintains bottom contact. You're just going to feel a nice sharp little tick like we just did for that fish right there, but hopefully the next one's going to be a little bit bigger than that bass. There he is. That one hit it freaking on the drop. I lifted up and she was just on there. That was like 2 casts after that last one. Feels like a slightly better fish. Oh yeah. Not a big one, not a giant by any means, but a little 12-incher in the boat right there on that offshore jig bite. That's the thing about fishing offshore too. You want to really pick apart a spot. So we've been sitting here on this exact spot, anchored down, and probably made like 6-7 casts, just kind of working through it, trying to find out how many fish are actually in this school. And so far we've got 2 fish in the boat and then 1 other bite that I missed, but we're gonna keep at it. See if there's any more down there. Big old grass pile, like I said, that's kind of the key, is finding some sort of structure offshore too. You want to be fishing grass, you want to be fishing brush or some sort of rock down there. If you're kind of just fishing in the middle of nowhere and there's nothing down there, there's probably not going to be a lot of fish loaded up out there. So electronics help, but also just you're able to feel the grass with the jig. So if you could find some sort of structure just by casting around, that's going to be key for offshore fishing as well. So like right there, I feel my jig sitting in that grass pile right now, just going to give it some little shakes, and that's usually when those fish are going to bite it. That one ate it on the fall again. Literally the second that it touched the bottom, that feels like a better fish right there too. I lifted up and both of those last 2 fish were just on it. Let's see what we got here. Feels like a slightly bigger bass. Yeah, that's a decent one right there, boys. Oh, and she just threw it. No worries though. This is just a little instructional video. It's all good. We're not fishing a tournament or anything like that, but literally the last 2 bites, both of those fish, I just lifted the jig up and I just felt a little tiny tap on there. But just throwing that little football jig, like I said, if it is summertime, there is a 100% chance that this is tied up and in my boat. Most tournaments, if you guys watch my channel, I have one of these tied on and I catch a ton of nice sized bass on a jig. It is by far my favorite bait to throw all summer long. There he is. Dude, that's like the 3rd one in a row that just ate it the second that it touched the bottom. I don't know what that exactly means, but that's a decent fish right there. Biggest one that we have landed so far in the boat, probably like a solid 15-incher, give or take. Smoked that jig. We just moved up a little bit down this little weed line that we're fishing, and first cast off the edge of there. Nice solid, probably 1.5 pound bass going back in the lake. But yeah, that's 3 bites in a row that all ate it the second that I lifted up. So I don't know, do with that as you will. I really don't know. Sometimes they do eat it like that, but I don't really know why exactly that is. But the second that it touches the bottom, these fish are freaking biting that jig. Gonna try casting it back to that exact spot right there. See if there's a couple just kind of stacked up offshore right here. Like I said, a lot of these fish offshore, they're sitting down there for a reason. Either there's gonna be a lot of bait congregated in one little area, or there's a really good patch of weeds right there, which I mean, this whole area right here is all grass. So it could be a mixture of both. There's probably some good grass and there's probably some bait and some bluegill that are hiding inside of there. And those fish, the second they see these jigs, are absolutely crushing them. Try out here a little bit deeper even. Yep, dude, literally the second that I lifted up, it was just on there. Just casted it further off that break, and that's another decent one right there. Come on, baby. Dude, these fish are loaded up offshore, guys. When you find them loaded up, it is the freaking best. Another solid one. She was wrapped up in those weeds, as you guys can see right there. Made her feel a little bit bigger, but still, nonetheless, that's a nice fish. I will take a bass like that all day. When they are crushing the jig, you cannot beat it. Another solid fish right there. Literally like 2 casts after that last one. And all I did was just chuck it out a little bit deeper and probably got right off the edge of that weed patch that we caught that first one in. Gonna try out there again now. Boys, we are getting into them now. We are getting into them. They are stacked up off this grass line. There he is. That one hit it when I was actually working the jig. I freaking popped it off a little patch of weeds and she crushed it. That's 3, oh, there she goes. That's 3 fish in like 4 casts right there. I kind of had a bad hook set on that one because my rod tip was all the way up in the air when that fish hit, so I had a lot of slack when I set the hook, but that was a little one. We caught both of the decent ones, so no worries. They are stacked up right there. We're gonna freaking pop another one. Doesn't even matter. Check this out. We're gonna catch another one this cast. I'm calling it right now. We're gonna catch another fish. You just wanna make sure that that jig gets all the way to the bottom too. That's what I was doing right there, guys, making sure that I let enough line out, especially when you're fishing with a casting rod. You got to make sure you open that bail up, let the line out, let the jig get down to the bottom, and you're going to catch a bunch of fish just like that because they smoke football jigs, boys. And that's another nice one right there. Come on in this boat. We found them. We found them stacked up, guys. We moved up like 10 foot from that first spot that we started on, and that's 4 fish in like 5 or 6 casts right there. Another 14-incher. I knew we were going to catch one on that cast. That is so nuts. We're gonna keep going. No freaking need to move a single inch. We are sitting right on the mother lode right now. We have the anchor down and those fish are stacked up out here. See, the difference is in this spot right here, I'm feeling a lot less grass, but the grass that I'm feeling is nice and crispy. The first spot where we caught a few fish, the grass is a little bit spongy, a little bit slimy, and just not the most ideal. You wanna find that really crisp green grass. That's what those fish are gonna wanna sit in. So this right here is exactly why we're catching fish in this spot. Super crispy green leafy grass. We found the mother lode out here. And like I said earlier on in the video, the other spot that we were fishing was all kind of dead brown grass like that right there. So if you find crispy leafy grass, there are gonna be fish stacked up in it in the dead of summer. That's where those fish are gonna wanna be. Grass like that is gonna hold a lot of oxygen. And if it's in that deeper water, it's over. You're gonna find them stacked up just like this, I promise you. That's exactly where those fish wanna be this time of year. Yep, dude, literally it's every cast, guys. We found that crispy green grass and it's over. Just like that, just like that. That is how easy it is. You find grass like that, you're gonna have a field day. You're gonna have a freaking field day. They are munching a jig. That's a nice one. That's the biggest one yet, I'd say. Nice stocky, like 15, 16-incher. Come on in this boat, mama. Come on in this boat, mama. There you go, boys and girls. You find the grass, you find the bass. It's a recipe for success, boys. We have got the freaking stack of them down there. That is a mother lode school of summer bass. That's exactly what you want to see when you're fishing this offshore jig. We started out by catching a couple little fish here and there, but we have found them stacked up, and that is a very solid bass right there, probably pushing 2 pounds. Nice 15, 16-incher, stocky, girthy one. That's one of those healthy ones that I was talking about too. Not like that last little gangly one that we caught, but little biospawn exopod on the back of that 𝗙ecie𝗶𝗶 jig, and we are crushing them offshore, boys and girls. I figured that that last fish was gonna be a good spot to end the video. Since they were so stacked up on that spot, I really do not think that we are gonna stop catching them anytime soon. And this video is already probably getting too long, but hopefully you guys learned something today. The weapon of bass destruction, as you guys saw, was that little diesel football jig paired up with the little biospawn exopod trailer. So if you guys want to check that out, it's all going to be linked down below. But if you guys are anywhere in the country, really in the summer, the football jig is going to be a go-to lure. I'm up here in the Midwest, and obviously it works here, but I promise you guys, if you live down in Texas, you live in Alabama, wherever the heck you are, you need to tie a football jig when you're fishing in the dead of summer. You will catch fish. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next video.